Did courts quietly confirm that the MMR vaccine, which protects children against measles, mumps, and rubella, causes autism? No, that's not true. Court cases cited in articles falsely making the claim concluded with damage awards for encephalitis blamed on vaccinations, and not for autism. These misleading reports also cite research from Andrew Wakefield, a doctor who lost his medical license after his work was found to be fraudulent, and it was subsequently retracted as utterly false by the British medical journal Lancet. One of the earliest versions of the story is an article published on August 10, 2013 under the title "Courts Quietly Confirm MMR Vaccine Causes Autism." It opened, quote, "After decades of passionate debate, parents probably missed the repeated admissions by drug companies and governments alike that vaccines do in fact cause autism. For concerned parents seeking the truth, it's worth remembering that the exact same people who own the world's drug companies also own America's news outlets. Finding propaganda-free information has been difficult, until now. At the center of the 15-year controversy is Dr. Andrew Wakefield of Austin, Texas. It was Dr. Wakefield that first publicized the link between stomach disorders and autism, and taking the findings one step further, the link between stomach disorders, autism and the measles mumps rubella (MMR) vaccine. End quote. The 2013 story claims that, in recent months, courts, governments and vaccine manufacturers have quietly conceded the fact that the measles mumps rubella (MMR) vaccine most likely does cause autism and stomach diseases. The first example cited is the 2012 settlement of a 2006 lawsuit filed by the family of Ryan Majabi, a child who became ill after a series of vaccinations, including the MMR vaccine. The case was litigated in the U.S. Court of Federal Claims, which considers claims under the National Vaccine Injury Compensation Program. The U.S. government, which was the respondent, acknowledged a link between the vaccinations and Ryan's encephalitis, inflammation of the brain. While the Majabi family cited a diagnosis of autism in the complaint, there was no finding by the court that it was connected to the vaccinations. The family was awarded nearly $1 million in compensation. Read the court document here. The story also referenced a court settlement involving Emily Mahler, which is apparently the case of Emily Lowry. The court decision, read it here, said the administered vaccinations included a diphtheria, tetanus, and acellular pertussis 3 (DTaP) vaccination. The DTaP vaccine is a combination of diphtheria toxoid, tetanus toxoid, and pertussis vaccine, administered intramuscularly for simultaneous immunization against diphtheria, tetanus, and pertussis. The family never contended autism was the of the vaccinations, but that the child suffered from encephalopathy. It was on that basis that $1.2 million in damages were awarded. MMR and autism are never mentioned in the final opinion, which you can read here. A 2015 French medical study acknowledged that many people with autism do have brain inflammation, but there was no conclusion that encephalitis leads to autism. The study also warned that the dangers are much greater from natural measles infections than the risk from vaccines. Il est à noter que les cas d'encephalites ont été reportés avec une fréquence inférieure à 1 sur 10 millions de doses. Le risque d'encéphalite suite à l'administration du vaccin est bien inférieur au risque d'encéphalite causé par les infections naturelles, the study's report said. Translated into English, it should be noted that cases of encephalitis have been reported with frequency less than 1 in 10 million doses. The risk of encephalitis following the administration of the vaccine is much lower than the risk of encephalitis caused by natural infections. Read the full English translation of the report here. The U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention does not list autism as a risk from the MMR vaccine. These questionable stories each place great weight on a study by former Dr. Andrew Wakefield published in 1998 that concluded there was a connection. Quote, "It was Dr. Wakefield that first publicized the link between stomach disorders and autism, and taking the findings one step further, the link between stomach disorders, autism and the measles mumps rubella (MMR) vaccine. For that discovery way back in 1996, and a subsequent research paper published by the doctor in 1998, Andrew Wakefield has found himself the victim of a worldwide smear campaign by drug corporations, governments and media companies. And while Drive